What's up, my people? This is IB Douglas, and you're welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you the breakdown on how I was able to achieve this countdown design. If you are new to this channel, do well to hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notifications for future videos. And yeah, so let's get to it. So basically, whenever I'm embarking on any design project, I always look for inspirations, right? So I have inspirations that I always like, check out just to see what and what that would really interest me and how I can also be able to approach the design. So this design was inspired by this design here I'm about to show you. Yeah, so this is where I got the inspiration for this countdown design. This design was done by a very prominent and incredible designer, Manuel Achebe. Shout out to him. Check him out on Instagram at Junior E Achebe. He's an incredible designer. He's amazing. So I got this inspiration from this design. You can literally tell, seeing how this, and I just tweaked it up. So yeah, this was inspired from him. So do well to follow him on Instagram, and yeah, good. All right, so let's get to it. So I'm just going to remove this one so we can just focus on this, because that's like another variation, which is still the same thing, just change of color. All right, so I'm going to turn off this. So usually whenever I do a design, when I'm done, I merge all of them to one layer, and then I also add little effects to it just to make the design pop. I use my camera raw to do that. So that's the reason why you would see now I've turned it off, right? So this is like the raw design. I'm done. So but when I fine tune it, once I merge all of them in one layer and then I fine tune it in camera raw, it gives this crispy, very beautiful kind of effect. So I always do that in all my designs. Okay, so whenever I finish designing, I bring it to camera raw, I fine tune. All right, so I'm just going to turn off all these layers, and we're going to start afresh. I'm going to start afresh. Good. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so yeah, we're good. This is our blank canvas. Okay, so the first thing, this is not actually like the first thing I did though, but this is like how I arranged the layers when I was done designing. So this is my gradient background. So I usually pick my colors from the images itself, so it will be able to it suits the design. I pick my colors from the images. Sometimes I also pick complementary colors to that image as well. So if I don't want to use the exact colors from the images, I can also pick complementary colors from it. That's how I approach my birthday posters, right? So that is all this. So it's actually, I'll show you the image, right, as we progress. Yeah, that's actually where I picked these colors from. Okay, so the next thing is my background. This is the original, this is how the background is. If I remove the black and white, and then I put it on normal, and then increase my opacity to 100, this is the original background. I downloaded this background on Pinterest. Yeah, I downloaded it on Pinterest. So you can just search for you can search for crazy pattern backgrounds, or you can search for geometric shape backgrounds, or just search for crazy pattern backgrounds or all those kind of things. You see loads of them and you download. So what I just did was I converted it to black and white, right? Converted it to black and white. I went to my normal, and I went to hard light. And then I now reduced my opacity to 6. So that was how I was able to achieve that effect. So the next thing was the image. So there is like an image I fused to the background. So this is like the original image itself. Let me turn off my effects, and my blend mode, let me put it on normal, and this is 100%. So this is the original image. Now the image looks a little bit blurry because I increased the size, right? So one tip, yeah, whenever you are doing a design, especially when you're doing a birthday design, It's always good to collect, always good, make sure you have high res images, high quality images. It's always good to have that. It helps in the crispiness of the design. Is what even affects the beauty of the design. If you have very good aesthetics but your picture is of low quality, it can spoil the design. Trust me. So the reason why this looks a little bit blurred is because I increased it so much, and I'm making it a background to be fused with the background itself. So that's why you're saying this is not like the major thing you're going to see in the design, right? And yeah, so that's just it. So it's the original, and you can see it's even in smart objects. Pro tip: always make sure that your images or any elements you are using is in smart objects, so you can easily edit it and make changes without having the challenge of trying to revert back to its original form. Okay, so that is it. So I just changed it to, I first of all converted to black and white, converted it to black and white, right? And then I now used my filter gallery and I gave it this effect. So I gave it this effect. So if you want to go to your filter gallery, just go to filter here and you see filter gallery. There's a shortcut for that. Okay, you just go to it. When you go to the filter gallery, you have different options to choose from. Let me press Ctrl 0. This is like the full option. Yeah, why you're not going to see so many things here was because of how it's because of how the image was positioned on the design. So you're going to see that. So you can choose any pattern you want, any this thing you want, depending on what you want to achieve. Yeah, depending on what you want to achieve. So I chose poster edges, thickness 10, edge intensity 0, posterization. So that was how I was able to achieve this. Clicked OK, and yeah, that was how I was able to get that. And then I chose my vivid light. Yeah, then I chose vivid light, and then I reduced it to 6 if I'm not. Yeah, so that was how I was able to achieve that effect. So then the next thing was now like another picture. So like I said, get high res pictures, and I always try to make sure that I get like the same what will I call it now? I won't say the same sequence, but the same image, but in different positions, or different positions of the same person, different positions of the same picture outfit, right? Different positions but the same outfit. It's always best you use that for your designs. If you don't have that, it's always good to have that, because it brings a uniformity in the design, kind of, right? But you can use different images, but it's always advisable to use an image with the same outfit but different positions, so it gives you that freedom to play around with it, and all that. So it's always advisable to do that. So this is another position of this image of the same person, the same image. This is my papa, Pastor George Izunwa. Yes. So this is the same person, so just did that, and then I added a gradient to the image, because I'm going to put some things here. I'm going to put some other elements there. That's why I added this. Okay. So I still now repeated this same pattern, but I used a different blend mode. So if I remove the black and white, this was normal, right? And the opacity was this. Okay, so what I did was I actually clip maxed that background to the gradient. If I press my alternate and remove, and I click, I've removed it. But if you want to clip mask an image, once you if you want to clip mask anything in an object or in whatever it is you want to clip mask for CorelDRAW users, we call it power clip, but for Photoshop it's clip masking. So clip mask, this is your illustration, or this is like my background. I wanted to clip mask this background to my gradient fill here. So you just hold your alternate key, and you see this arrow here to just point down. First of all, you have to select what you want to clip mask into the next object. Then you hold your alternates and come here in between those layers, and you clip mask it. See it? So you've achieved that. And then I converted it to black and white, right? Converted it to black and white. If you want to convert your these things to black and white, this is actually where you go to your image. If you want to convert anything to black and white, right? If you want to get this black and white effect, just come to image, go to adjustments, you see black and white, there's a shortcut for it, alternate shift control B. Always use shortcuts so you can achieve what you want to achieve faster. So I make use of my shortcuts. So I applied that, and then I used I think I used divide here. Yeah, I used divide, and then I reduced the opacity to 6. So that was how I was able to achieve that effect. And then the next thing I did was to add like a newspaper effect, and this newspaper effect I used my brush tool to like remove. So this is like, let me go to the newspaper effect. Let's remove the multiply, and let's make this 100. So this is like the newspaper effect. Let's disable this layer mask. So this is the newspaper effect. I just rotated it, brought it down here, right? Added my multiply effect to give it this kind of feel. So most times whenever you have backgrounds that are, whenever you import any background that has a white background but with black text on it, you multiply can actually remove those the white part of it. You can use different depending on the blend mode you want to use, but multiply removes that. Okay, and then I also added like my layer mask. Added my layer mask to remove. I added a layer mask. If you want to go to anything layer mask, let's just delete this. So let's say you want to put a layer mask, you just come here and click layer mask, and then you use your brush tool, which is B, brush tool. Make sure it's black. So you use black, and then you now brush it off. You brush it off. So that's how I was able to achieve that effect. If you want to bring back that thing, you press X. X is just to switch my background and foreground color. And so you press, when it's in white, you bring it back. If it's in black, you remove. So I can just reduce this if I want to reduce my brush size, and I give it this effect. So that was how I was able to achieve that effect. So yeah, that was just it. And then I now also reduced the opacity of it, which was 41. So that was how I was able to achieve that. So the next thing here, I know the next thing here is supposed to be like this thing, but the reason why I added that was because of the image I added before that effect. So this is the image, right, that I added, but because I didn't want the image to be missing, the image is visible already, but I just wanted his face here to pop out. I wanted it to pop out, so that's why I added a brush effect to the back of the head. So you see, that is like a glowy kind of effect. For you to be able to achieve that, you just click on your brush tool. This is my brush tool. I use B, sorry. B is for the brush tool. It's always there. So you can come here and choose the size. Depending on the size, I don't need it so big, but this is where you can determine how soft or how hard you want the brush tool to be. If you want it to be hard, it will be like a solid color. So you see, to be given this solid color. Sorry, I'm using, let me just go back to normal. This is how it's going to be when you use your brush tool. It's giving a solid color because it's hard. But if you make it soft, if you reduce the hardness, you see that it's going to give like a soft color. Are you seeing the difference now? You see the difference? And how you can choose the color for this is you just come here, select any color you want. It's because I chose the color of my background, that's why it was giving me pink. But you can come here, you can choose any color you want first when you select your brush tool, and you can just come and color it, and you say that to come here. So that was how I was able to achieve that effect. So let me just undo. So that was how I was able to achieve that effect. Let me just go back and bring back this guy here. And then I now used like a blend mode. I used a lighting blend mode. This was like the normal effect though, but I just used like a lighting blend mode, just to give it another feel. So like you have the ability to explore different blend modes depending on what you want to achieve. So don't streamline to one particular blend mode. Okay, and then I now added like my shadows to it. This is my shadow effect here. I just duplicated that shadow for more visibility, and like I grouped it. So if you want to be able to create a shadow to your image, it's very simple. You can just right click here, go to your blend options. I have a shortcut for that though. So just go to your blending options, you come to your drop shadow here, and yeah, so this is like the shadow. Sorry, I've already like done some things. This is how your shadow is going to look like. So the transparency the visibility of the image, how you want it to be, spread it how you want to spread it, the size of the shadow, if you want it to be very thick or very light, and all those kind of things. So but now I want to show you something, how you can be able to separate your shadow from the image. So when you're in your blending options, right, let's just say this is our shadow. You hold your control button here, still on this, when you are still on that your blending drop shadow option, you hold your control button and drag. You see that you can be able to separate. That's how you separate the shadow from the original image, but it's not completely separated, but you can move it around. You can move it around, but it's still part of the layer. So once you are done with that, if you want to like properly separate this shadow, still on this layer, right, you see that the layer now, if we move it, is going to move with the shadow. It's not properly separated. I've just removed, I just separated it. This is, let me call it part 1 and part 2 separation. So the part 1 separation, I've separated it from the image, but now I want to totally like make it free from it. Okay, Mona permit me. If I feel they switch on with English and Pidgin. All right, so still on my layer here, I will go to my layer effects. I want to separate the shadow from the image. Go to your layer effect, go to layer style, and you see create layer. So this is how it shows you some aspects, press OK, and then I've now properly given my shadow its own layer. So now you see I can now separate my shadow completely from the original image. So you can see that I'm able to do that. So if you can now, how you want to now put the shadow, it's up to you. So for me here, I'll just click on this. Once I click on this, I've activated my transform tool. Once I carry my area and just click on this, I've activated my transform tool. You don't need to start going to image, or you don't need to start going to edit and you now start clicking transform, or you do Control T. That's the shortcut for free transform. And then you can now right click and you can see the different scales, or you can just come here, you can just come to the transform. After you click free transform, you can come here, you still see those same things, but this is long process. We designers, we like shortcuts, so you can achieve our stuff easy, right? So you just right click here, you see those same options here. So I'll select my distort. So it's my distort. First of all, I have to like rotate this image upside down. Sorry, I have to rotate it upside down, so it's vertical, free vertical. And then I still go back here, choose distort. So with distort, I'm able to give that effect that I want to give to the image. You just have to like just imagine how like this is like a light that is shining on the, just like when a light reflects on an image. If a light is reflecting on you, you know that how your shadow comes, the positioning of your shadow, right? So that is what I'm trying to do here, like a light that is positioned on the image, and so I'm giving that kind of effect, you get. So that's just what I'm doing. So yeah, that's just basically it. That's how you can arrive at that. And then if you want to reduce the opacity of the shadow, you can reduce that and all that. So that's how I was able to arrive at that. So I'm just going to delete this effect here. I'm just going to remove the shadow effect. Go to my delete button and remove that shadow effect, and then click back this guy. So yeah, so that is it for that. And then the next option here was this image. So it's having this kind of brush line effect because I use dissolve mode, but actually this can be normal, so you don't need to give that effect. Yeah, it was just something that I just gave it that effect, but still it didn't really matter because at the end of the day I still converted it to one layer, and then I still did my camera raw stuff, my camera raw magic I'll call that, and I was able to get the smooth effect. But if you don't want it to be rough, you just remove it from dissolve. I use dissolve, that was why it was looking rough. So you just bring it back to normal. But if you want to achieve this trimming effect where the number is already a smart object, so just open it and I'll show you what to do here. Let's disable this guy. I'll first of all duplicate it, so make it not to stress me when I want to put them back again. So I'll just alternate. How I was able to duplicate, just hold your alternate key and you drag, click and drag your mouse, so you've duplicated. Okay, So I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm going to delete this layer here, so we'll start afresh. So you've drawn your shape, you want to put anything, whether it's a number or whatever it is you want to trim on that shape. Bring in my text tool, select the color I want, select the font I want. I used Bebas, right? So I'm just going to click on Bebas here and just click the image. Sorry, don't click it here. When you click your text inside the shape, it's going to bring out a text box, right? And that's not what I want to achieve. So we're just going to undo that. Sorry, we just click and we're going to undo that. I don't want that. So I just want just one. I just need a text that I don't need to start doing. I don't need a block of text. So whenever you select your text tool and you've done your properties and all that, click outside the canvas. Click outside the canvas. So there you will just have a single text, and then you type. You will not see anything, right? Because it's outside the canvas. But when you bring it inside, right, you will see what we're talking about. So let's just increase this, and we bring it here. So this is the number 10. So I'm just going to increase the size. Just bring it, arrange it. So let me just hold my shift button, select my rectangle. Both of them are here. So I'm just going to put it at the center. Good. This is how I positioned it, and just take it up a little bit so let it not look so boring. So this is it. Now I want to achieve the trimming effect. So what you do is make sure that your cursor is selected. You have selected the layer of that particular thing you want to trim on the next shape. Okay, and you hold your control button or command button for Mac users, and then you click on it. You see now it now selects this image. It now selects that shape, not shape. It selects the object, whether it's a shape or a number. And then you come to that second layer where you want to trim that first layer on. When you select that, you come to your layer style here. You come to your layer effect here. Go to new layer, go to your layer mask option, and you will see hide selection. So that way it creates like a layer mask of that first object on the second layer. And if you see, once I disable it, you see that that thing has been trimmed. So that's how I was able to achieve that effect, right? So that's just it. So just remove this guy, click this guy back, and then I close. Yeah, I'm not saving changes, so it will still remain. So yeah, so that's how I was able to achieve that effect. So the next thing I now did was to add my days to go, right? I've added my days to go. Just use the script font. The name of the script font for those who would want to download is Black Signature. That's the name of that font. And then the body text here, the days to go, was Lexend. Lexend is a very beautiful family font, so you can make use of that. So I'm done with my days to go. The next thing I added was George Izoa. The reason why I didn't put this 10, this was the 10 that I trimmed off. So that's why that layer was, I duplicated that layer just to keep it on, just to have a duplicate on the safe side. In case I don't achieve what I want to achieve properly, I can still go back to it. So sometimes I always duplicate some layers just to be on the safe side. So George Izunwa, then I added the write-up that I want to add. So that one is like a text write-up. So you can literally like type, you can just create the text write-up outside of your design and you bring it in, right? I didn't create this inside the box. If not, it would have occupied. So I just created, or you can just click, when you click on your text to, when you click on your text, you can just like literally draw a text, or you can even draw it outside. Sorry guys. Click on your text tool, which is, click on your text tool, which is T, and you can draw like a text box to write what you want to write. And then you, when you're done, click on your move tool, and then you move it and place it wherever you want to place it. Yeah, so that's just it. So I've added my text box. Sorry guys. So I've added my text, and then I'm now adding the date. So I just click on my shapes. I put this one here. This is for box 1. I put my second shape, put this one here, that's for box 2. This is why I'm adding like the date, the birthday date. It's a countdown design, so a countdown to this particular date. So I add this shape here. I now add this number. Yeah, so I've grouped everything, and then I now still arranged all of them into one box, so I can literally move this guy anytime. So I do that just so it will be easy for me to move all of them together. Okay, so then I now added like a pattern to this. Now this pattern, I used the dissolve effect still. It really didn't matter for me since I was still going to, like I said earlier when I did the number, but this is like a normal effect. I got this pattern still from Pinterest. Still search for like patterns. Just be searching for patterns on Pinterest. You see different loads of patterns and you download them. So I removed the background on still on Photoshop. Now to remove, there are lots of Photoshop tutorials on how to remove background. So I just did that and I added it there. Like I said, I got the inspiration from the original design I showed you earlier, but I didn't want it to be exactly what it is. So I have to tweak it. Whenever you are replicating a design or you are using a design for inspiration, it's always advisable you tweak it. Don't now go and do verbatim exactly. There will be some similar things, but like tweak it to your own taste. So that's what I did. And then I now added my write-up. This is like my blog text. I've already like showed you how you can do this blog text. This was generated with ChatGPT though, but like I gave the prompt. So like the prompt was like, okay, my papa is having his 54th birthday in the next 10 days. Generate like a birthday text indicating the countdown and just some things. I just generated that prompt and then ChatGPT gave me this. So I just brought it into my Photoshop here and yeah, just wrote it in this and all those other things. So that's just it. So it's not something that you need to read. The reason why I did that pattern is to beautify the design. It's not something you need to read. So that is why it's like this. So if you even look at the pattern, it's soft light. So I can actually put it in normal, but I didn't want this normal kind of effect, right? I didn't want anybody to read it. It's not something you need to read. Like I said, most people, you can put write-up. If you want your write-up to be read, right, it's better you use like a short blocks of text. That one is better. But if you're putting it in this long write-up, you don't need people to read, except if you want people to read, like I said, you can use short block of text. But this is actually like based on choice though, right? So how I was able to generate this, like I said, after I generated it in ChatGPT, my text tool, which is T, I'll just come to my text tool here. Sorry, it's because I'm selecting that image. So I'll just come to my text tool and draw your text box, and then you just copy and paste what you have there, and then you arrange it. You do your justify. You can do left alignment. You can do center alignment. So whenever I'm doing this kind of thing, I always do first justify. So I will just come here and use my first justify where it makes it, it arranges it in this kind of this thing, and do whatever it is you want to do. Yeah, you just use this guy and arrange it properly. So yeah, that was how I was able to achieve that effect. And then I used, like I said, I used a blend mode. I think I used was it soft light? Yeah, I used a soft light blend mode. There was no need to reduce opacity. So this was what I wanted to achieve. So that was it. And then I now added the hashtags of the design, added it, positioned it there, and then I now added my logo. That's the last thing I always do when I'm done with my design. So I now added my logo. So the next thing I now did was to now merge all these layers into one particular design. Like I merged all these layers into one image. I have a shortcut for it, so let me just share the shortcut. You can actually create the shortcut on Photoshop. So mine is like Shift Control Alternate E. That's how I'm able to like create a layer of its own. You can merge all the layers. If you want to merge all the layers normally, you could just right click on this. I think it has merge layers, or we can not flatten image though. You could say merge layers. Let's say convert to layers. No, I think it's merge layers. Maybe if you select all these things. It's a long process. You can just hold your shift key, you come down and select everything. Everything is selected. You now come, you right click, you now say merge layers. You merge all of them to one layer, right? You are done. But I do not use that pattern. So either you do that, or you can just go I think you can just go to layers here. You will see where we have that. I think that merge layer should be around here. That merge layer should be around here, but it's best you just check it from your right click. Just right click here, you see merge layers and all that. So, or we can even say rasterize layer. If we do rasterize layer, it will not even make any distinction. So, but you get the point, right? So I just converted all of them to one layer, and then I went to my camera raw and made the necessary effect. So let me disable my camera raw. This is it. This is the original this thing. And then when I go to camera raw, let me edit the camera raw so you can see what I did there. So just go here. Sorry, this is because of the second artboard is, so that's what I was saying. So I just made like little changes, just played with the texture, played with the clarity. I like adding grains to my designs. Yeah, to my design finishes, I like adding grains, but not too much. Grains, you can call it noise effects, as we call it, but I don't like adding too much of it. But just subtle grain effects, do one or two things there. I just play a bit with the shadows. I didn't play anything here. I didn't play with anything here. I just did more of the things on the effects section. Yeah, so I was just done, and then I clicked on OK. Yeah, I'm not making any change, so I just clicked on OK, and I am done with my design. So when you're done, you now export, right? So because I wanted to still I just wanted to do another layer, just to make sure that when I'm up, just to create like a carousel, so it won't be boring. So I just created a duplicate of this artboard, right? I created a duplicate of this artboard. And then what I just did was to like invert. I just inverted most of these things. So it's like the same design, but just inverted most of the things. I changed the color of the pattern, changed the color of the shape, changed the color of these things. Now, if for some of us that might be asking, okay, how do you create artboards in your designs? Let's just create a new document. So I'll show you. So you want to create a new document. Always make sure that your artboard is ticked. Yeah, this section. Once you are done setting your sizes, setting your resolution, always make sure your artboard is ticked. If your artboard is not ticked, you cannot create an artboard. But always make sure your artboard is ticked. It's ticked. Don't make any other changes here. Just change your dimension, if you will, resolution. These guys. Then make sure your artboard is ticked. Once your artboard is ticked, you say that there's artboard 1, and then you can also come here. If you want to duplicate the artboard, you come to artboard 2. You just press plus here, artboard, you just create. But I don't go there. So I don't usually go there. We just click on my artboard here, and I hold my alternate key and I shift, I click and drag. I've created another artboard. The same thing, I hold my alternate key, I click and drag, I hold my shift key just to make sure it's on the same alignment and position. Or you can choose this method. You just come here and click the artboard tool, and then you can duplicate. You see that it has different distance. You can duplicate up, you can duplicate by this left, you can duplicate here. So you see how people actually like do carousels and all these other things. So yeah, that's basically how you can do it. Yep, so that is the end. We've come to the end of this video. If you found this video helpful, do well to drop a comment below. Do not forget to also subscribe and hit that post notification bell for more updates. Do well to also share this video tutorial to a designer today that you found it, if you found this very, very helpful and useful. Thank you so much, guys, once again, and see you next time in my next video. Have a great day, my people. Peace.